So let's talk about tech, man.
So before that, we have a guest in our podcast. He goes by the name Brad, and he's very rad.
Brad. The Rad Brad. This guy.
He's a tech guy and entrepreneur. He's doing a lot of stuff, and you're trying to make people educate how to get into the tech industry also,
Yeah,
right? So,
IT. Not just being a coder, but the whole software development side. There are business aspect of it, and you don't always have to code. Right, there's testing, there's like other things. We'll talk more.
Yeah, so Brad has his own show. It's called Rara Tech Show.
Yeah.
You guys can catch him on the YouTube. So a lot of the stuff that we talk about techs and the tech trends and how, you know, people that are in the industry that are preliminary trying to look for an options and look for a betterment. And Brad definitely has a lot of things to talk about that. So
So let's give him a big hand.
Yeah.
Welcome to
All
our
right.
Thanks for having me.
You are doing tech, and then your background.
yeah, tell us a little bit about what you do.
I'm a boring guy. So just like you guys have a podcast, I have a podcast. The whole concept was I wanted to educate more people on how to get into software development.
Okay.
And eventually I'll start creating a program and I'll start doing more podcasts and getting more people.
Okay.
But right now, I work for a company. We make websites. That's the easiest way to say it, right? But when you make a big application, enterprise level application, it's not just website you need to work on. You need to work on multiple things.
Yeah.
You are working on 10 to 15 teams with like 5-10 people on there. So you're looking at 150 people working together to create an application every couple months.
Yeah.
Right? So that's what I do. I am part of 2 teams, so let's say 2 to 5 teams that we're working on releasing a product every 3 to 6 months. And on the side, I also came up with we had a couple people we had to sit down and we talked about Rara. And the name Rara came was at least from back then what we knew was Rara came from like
Rara
the
Lake,
start,
like,
and Rara
Yeah, it's like, yeah, exactly.
so it went from like one coast to the other coast of Nepal.
Yeah, exactly.
At least that's what my understanding
Yeah,
was.
yeah.
So we wanted to say it's a complete application development enterprise system that we can build for you.
So good.
That's the whole
That's a great-
concept of it.
I love it. I love it.
We have partners. I have a partner, Siva.
What do you think about AI?
I don't know. So I don't know enough to talk about it, but I have a feeling 20 to 30 years from now, we'll rely heavily on AI, right? In major things. So that's why my current gig is cyber. So before I was in software development, now I'm in cyber, right? And cyber biggest issue is how can we protect our infrastructure from all these attacks and all the things where there's no fingerprints, right? It's very hard to, it's so easy to fake things and change the fingerprints because you don't have fingerprints if you do it correctly to attack people.
Oh, the recent one that I was the gas one, the Colonial Pipeline.
Oh yeah,
You know,
yeah. That
and
was,
they ended up paying ransom $5 million.
yeah, but that's normal, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just the ROI. Do we want to waste another 10-15 days or 10-15 weeks trying to figure this out, or should we just pay this $4 million? Because it's only like a day's expense, maybe, right?
Yeah.
So.
They say more than $200 million gets paid in ransom every year from American companies that get hacked with the malware and Trojan horse and things like that from the other sources. It's crazy, you know.
As sad as it sounds, like as depressing as it sounds, it is a very big risk. Like there's nothing called 100% protection.
Yeah.
Right? There's something called CIA triad, confidentiality, integrity, and authority. I think, right? So when you try to create an application that is very confidential, integral, and like only authenticated person can get in, you can never create a 100% secure application.
Exactly.
So you have to leave some loopholes, right? And that's when people get in.
They exploit
But that is, that's the scary part about cyber. But AI is a little bit different. Like imagine my Tesla. Let's say I have a Tesla. Let's assume I have a Tesla, and my
You
Tesla
do have a
is
Tesla, so it works out really good.
my Tesla is being driven right now, right?
Okay.
And somebody goes and gets into the AI and hacks my system.
Oh,
right.
Right.
Because AI is super smart. Like in the car, you can see the vehicle in front of you, vehicle behind you, people walking on the side, but they still got into accident, right? Because imagine somebody hacking that.
Yeah, and then just driving it away or something.
Yeah. Forget about normal people like us. Maybe you guys are a little bit powerful, but what if some high-level embassy people or presidential people or Congress people start getting into vehicles like that, and they get hacked, right? Or my car gets hacked and hits a
So
congressman.
you're saying that the President of the United States will never drive in a
Tesla. Oh, Elon Musk might get mad about that. Dogecoin will go down.
They might, they might, but not now. But I see good futures with AI.
Do you think human jobs, like, let's say, okay, we kind of know that the labor jobs is gonna be replaced. I mean, we're already seeing that.
We want to replace it, don't you? Do you want to go pick tomatoes from a farm, or do you want to go clean like trash out of the roads or cut the grass on the side? No, right?
Yeah.
Do you? No, I'm asking you.
Well, yeah, I don't want to.
Yeah, so it's good that they're replacing, because we will learn how to figure out to use the computer and systems to make it a better application.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
It's going to create more jobs. And it's going to most likely will live longer because of that. Because there's no people dying for like heavy lifts and stuff. It may make us weaker a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think in the long run, the delta ROI is
we
going
are
to be better.
turning into a symbiotic cyborg generation where our bodies, like, you lose your hand, you're gonna have a mechanic hand. You know what I'm saying? You lose your limb, you'll have a mechanic. We already have that, right? So we're starting to become this generation where we have to symbiotically like fit with the technology. That's the only way. If not, we can't, because we created this.
Yeah.
This is what we created, and we're gonna have to embed with it for us, our sustainability, for our survival at the end of the day.
So do you think AI should be regulated?
No.
Why?
I'm a big fan of things not being regulated in a global scale. So whenever there's... I was watching another PBD's podcast, and one guy went and kept on catching people who are like charging for stupid stuff, right? And whenever government gets involved, they try to create a system, but they create extra work for people to get into. For example, let's say I want to start a business, right? And I guess there's a reason you have to register for tax, pay tax, register a business. It's good to know, but you're paying extra fee all the time. I just want to start my podcast, dude. Like, I don't need to pay this many tax, and I don't need to pay every year a fee for the government just so I want to run a podcast, right? Those are the minimum things you have to do. But in a global scale, for the food, it's good, right? Because you want to make sure that you don't have bad food.
Health related things.
But for the AI, it's computers. Like, there should be a point where I think government should look into more privacy stuff rather than AI stuff. Right? So they should say what is the minimum they should do if I wanted to delete my... Just like Europe has this EU
law.
EU law. I don't know I forgot the law. I had to write a paper, but I can say
GDPR.
Yeah, GDPR, right?
GDPR.
They tell you if I want to delete my stuff, and stuff like that. I think those are nice to have, right? But just to say that they need to regulate, they can do X, Y, Z. That's not cool, dude. You know what I mean?
It's not cool.
Like, whenever, like, I was looking at, I don't know much of this, but in a vehicle, they regulated it to the extent like you need to have this many lights, or tail lights needs to be this color to that detail. The innovation is gone. At least from my head. Like, the car needs to be safe in a certain extent. But I was listening to Milton Friedman recently this weekend, and they talked about how vehicle cost got higher because there was so many regulations the government put on it, right?
That's why. So the more regulation we have, the more productivity is hurting. Why are we building cars in China and Mexico? Why? Because they have less regulations. If we were to build the same car in America, it's going to cost us like 50,000 more than that would be. So people can't afford it at that point. You know what I mean? So
this is a very technical topic if we go deep into it, because it's economics, right? It's regulation, it's diplomacy and stuff like that.
All that plays into it.
But long story short, I guess we may have to do a reset button, right? Because we are just adding new laws. Because laws are getting created, regulation are rarely taken out, right?
So and I personally believe there shouldn't be any ethics in AI, because it's a creativity. What AI is it's a developer's creativity. Because then let's say you design a software and you make sure that software searches some people for you faster and gives you all these details you need. Like, your specific software, you don't want that to be regulated. That's your everything. That's your work. It's your life worth of research, whatever it is. So you don't want someone to come in and say there's limitations to that. Here, bam, you can't have that. You can't have that search engine. You can't have that function. You can't have that. You can't do that.
Oh, that's too much.
Give them the
that's too much,
choice.
right?
Oh, that's too much.
So in that, I think that's how it should be. But at the end of the day, what's criminal is criminal, right? So even with AI, you are doing something criminal, like, for example, we just talked about going into people's privacy and stealing information. That's criminal.
Oh,
so
that's
that should definitely be outlawed, but for sure.
Yeah,
but
that's what I'm saying. I think governments should look into criminal activities,
Exactly.
look into privacy, but they shouldn't regulate them.
they should regulate on what they can do as far as the software's limitations.
Because they will kill the innovation.
But at the end of the day, I think so they will regulate because they're gonna.
They are
regulate
gonna.
crypto.
You know
It's
why?
money.
Because you make money.
Money. Every time
Regulation
there's
comes with money.
regulation-
So I give you a perfect example. I work in the environmental side. What we do is just a reliability and environmental side. A lot of time we get hit with new regulation every 6 months. There's just always changes, this and that. And the way it usually comes out is all this environmental organization. They are pushing this regulation. They're lobbying for this regulation, which ultimately it helps them, because us not doing certain things or us paying extra to be able to do certain things, it helps them, because at the end of the day, the money is going to their pocket. You know what I mean? So it's like insurance scam is another one. It's a big one. American insurance system is one of the most horrible system in the world. And you know how much money they're making with this insurance? Dude? It's the biggest scam. And all these insurance regulations, guess who's lobbying for it? The guys from insurance companies.
Yeah.
So you said you wanted to guide people who are in tech and move into like positions into tech. So what do you have advice for those kind of people?
The advice is, your first job is to get into the field, right? If you don't have any IT background, your first job is to get into the field. Look into one of the Udemy course one of your guests has, and we'll create more product too from the Virotech. But just understand different aspect of it and get in the field.
Okay.
After you get in the field, look around. Just observe what do you like, what do you like. One of the biggest thing I learned from the Tim guys. Remember all the people who said no. I usually write down the things I don't like, so I don't go do those things, right?
Okay.
So one other thing when I was doing, I was tester, automating things. So I was coding and automating things. One other thing I did.
Selenium?
Yeah, I was using Selenium, Java, and a couple of things. One other thing I didn't like was I didn't like the repetitive behavior, and I also didn't like being always the last person to touch things. Does that make sense?
What do you mean by that?
A business analyst writes up a requirement, or somebody decides, developer creates it, and it's 2 days or 3 days before the deadline.
Exactly.
I didn't want to do that, right? Because
It puts you in a bad spot there.
yeah.
If something goes bad, then it comes to you.
I mean,
The blame comes.
If I find something, if I kick it back, they'll think that, oh, how come it's not done? But in reality, I found something and it got kicked back.
Right.
The good thing is you have to be in a situation or surrounding where that you are not just judged by the fact that you found something.
It's not true.
Right. So you look around and you see what you wanted to do. So when I switched, I wanted to be a Scrum Master, but Scrum Master was not open. So I became a business analyst or a PO for 6 months. Then I became a Scrum Master.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So you just switch based on whatever opens up. And once you get a little bit of experience, the goal is to always water the plant within your place. Water the green, plant, whatever. Make it greener, because it's easier for you to get a job internally than externally.
Oh,
Yeah, 100%.
Right. So you switch job there to BA.
Yeah.
I really didn't like writing. I'm like a bullet points guy. So I switched to Scrum Master.
Oh.
Now I'm working on how to. So I have a team and who have no idea what Agile is and stuff. So I'm trying to coach them, just creating a cadence of the ceremonies, so they can understand how Agile works. So when they leave, they have a better idea, right? So every time, have you heard of the replacement game from PVD? So your goal. So my goal is to, whenever I meet someone, my goal is whenever they leave, I hope they leave or they go to do different things. They're better than when they started. So your goal is to always coach them, help them, educate them, so they can leave.
So who is your favorite tech YouTuber?
So tech YouTuber, I mean, Marcus,
talks about.
but I like What's Up Guy a lot now. There's another guy who's
Yeah, I gotta watch that. What's up, guys?
Yeah, recently I've started to like Utsav Dai. I would call him Utsav Dai. Engineering
cool.
with Utsav.
once I get
Shout out.
Okay.
once I get him in the podcast, I'll tell him, hey,
Oh yeah,
we talked about
that's
Shout out.
pretty awesome, man.
but there's
I
this
really like
another
it.
guy
you
who
gotta
talks.
send me the link of his show so I can.
Yeah,
it's
watch
pretty
it.
good.
I'll send it
It's
to
very
you
Yeah.
in a second. I forgot. The other guy I really like. He's like a venture capitalist on like Microsoft. Like he
Oh, is that the guy who funded Coinbase?
Asian guy.
Yeah, Coinbase.
Oh.
He turned like 200 million into some $1 billion, something like that.
Yes.
Because Coinbase went into IPO and then they.
Maybe I don't know. I forgot his name, but
Yeah, I think I remember that guy. I think so. The algorithm.
we
of
both
his-
listen to the same thing.
Yeah. He listens to PBD. He listens.
Yeah,
he
PBD.
looks at
Yeah,
engineering.
Gary Tan.
Oh yeah, this is that.
Oh,
The Gary Tan
yeah,
guy.
Gary.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So those are two people I primarily listen to.
Oh, your
if not
YouTube
PBD's down here. PBD's
his YouTube home feed and my YouTube. I think we
Yeah,
should compare. Like it's the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, you probably have the same
Yeah,
video suggested.
Maybe we have similar mindset, dude.
Yeah, we're-
You know, feel like self-development, video
Oh,
inside. You know, because
Yeah,
PBD, I religiously follow PBD.
I like this guy. So
And,
PBD, you know.
Yeah,
him, right?
I've heard of him. Yeah, I've
Entertainment.
watched a couple of videos of him.
So
But
good.
But who is yours?
I think so. I would tell the same thing.
Who else do
Um,
you like?
Take YouTuber. I don't follow that much because most of the times I ran into a problem and then I just randomly search for.
That's how I saw. That's how I googled stuff too. Like instead of like looking in the manual, I just googled stuff how to do X, Y, Z.
And then for Microsoft Dynamics 365, I know his name is Avaya Sharma. So he's from India. So I follow his stuff, and then engineering what's up recently. I mean he doesn't talk about how to code and this and that. He talks about the mindset, productivity. Like
I found him like 2 months ago.
it's very nice. Yeah. Did you also find him by the video like how day in life of software engineer?
Yes,
jobless.
the one with the hat.
Oh, we are same.
Yeah,
we are
bro.
same. We are same.
That guy is YouTube knows us.
Yeah, exactly. Because
Yeah.
algorithms,
That's the guy I listened to, Lex Friedman. That's his name. That's
Lex
the AI, yeah.
Oh, the guy. Yeah, that guy is smart as hell, man.
Smart as hell.
Holy shit, the way they process things.
Yeah, dude, his mind is somewhere. He's a great guitarist too. That's why I love it. He's like
Oh.
Pink Floyd and
who's
stuff.
that guy?
Lex Friedman. He's the AI. He's a
Yeah,
MIT guy.
He's always wears
Wearing
suits,
suits
black
like
suit.
a black suits.
You don't know him?
Yeah, dude, that dude's.
Not
He
yet.
Maybe
comes
I've
in a
seen
Joe
him.
Rogan Silk a couple times.
Oh,
It's Lex Friedman.
जो रोगनको चाहिँ मैले हेरेको भनेको इलन मस्क र रसल ब्रान्ड
Yeah, Russell.
This guy, the guy on top
Yeah,
left.
Lex Friedman.
Oh
dude.
yeah, I know this guy. He's a
Dude,
hacker.
everyone.
He's a hacker, yeah.
Russian hacker.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched his interview with Twitter ko okay.
Jack
Jack
Dorsey.
Dorsey.
Yeah, he does
Oh,
Jack
okay.
Dorsey. He
I
did
know.
Elon Musk the other day. It was awesome.
Oh, he
He-
did?
Yeah, he's
I-
great. He's an MMA fan too, so he loves all that.
that's
He
pretty cool.
trains
He's like Khabib.
yeah, he trains. He trains like crazy.
It's pretty cool.
I love Lex Friedman. Yeah.
Yeah, the first time I stumbled on this guy was when he engineered with the dean of some Atlanta
Okay.
tech unit.
Yeah, he does a lot of
Kid.
tech type interviews and stuff. But his focus is on AI and artificial intelligence stuff.
So weird, like the world is so small.
He's
Yeah.
so cool. Jack Dorsey said him.
Yeah.
What did Jack Dorsey say? He said, "You are the best hacker," or something like that I've ever seen.
Oh really?
Oh, Lex Friedman is
So
awesome.
Jack Dorsey's on a podcast.
I'm
I
gonna
don't
listen
know.
to it.
Yeah.
Like Jack Dorsey told him, and I was like, "Damn, this guy's."
I follow him on
Okay.
Instagram, and he keeps putting like little guitar clips, and he's a pretty good
this guy?
guitarist.
Yeah, I like this guy.
Yes.
I really
Yeah,
like
I
this
love
guy.
Lex Friedman,
It's
yeah.
pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes you see a lot of interviews, see a lot of videos, and then you forget. So त्यही भएको like मैले यसको हेर्दाखेरि चाहिँ oh damn खतरा रहेछ यो
Yeah.
मान्छे जस्तो भएको
Yeah.
थियो तर afterwards अरूहरू हेर्दै गएपछि
Yeah,
like I
it's
forgot
just
about him.
Yeah.
Now I
Yeah.
remember.
Especially there's so many people now, so many influencers, so many talk show hosts and stuff. It's hard to
Yeah.
keep track of everything, man.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
You gotta put content out.
Yeah.
So I think so we can wrap up with the last question. Maybe there'll be more questions, but so how you said you are doing entrepreneurship too, and you're doing job too, right? So what advice do you have for those people who is trying to do entrepreneurship at the same time they have a job? Like how do they balance and then get good at both the things they are doing.
So, going back to watering your plant, a while back, I think I talked about my goal is to be an entrepreneur within the company right now, right?
Okay.
If things doesn't work out, if my L1 supervisor and stuff, and if I don't see any growth within the company, I'm gonna branch out and do my thing, because I don't want the risk of renting out a whole office space, trying to start a business, go for a bit. If I can get certain percent, or if I can influence and grow within the company, that is the path I'm working on right now.
Okay.
I'm really trying to learn on leadership skills. I have a lot of people I'm working with, couple of teams, and everybody leads differently, right? Everybody. So I'm really looking into John Maxwell, and a couple other books.
I used to watch his stuff all the time.
And I'm a very new phase. I'm only been in this project for a couple of months, so I'm learning that. So after I learn that and master things, that's when I would want to go out, open my own thing if it didn't work out. But I am also working on a side project where I can educate people. So let me give you a background on why I'm doing this a little bit. So when I wanted to go look for a new job, right, there was no market presence on my name. So when you Google Brad, there was nothing, right, other than like my home address, maybe my website or whatever. So I'm starting to put content out there with my interviews with people, my name, XYZ.
Nice.
So there's awareness, Brad branding. I call it Brad branding, but you can call it whatever. So what do you want to do? You always want to put your name out there. So when things go sideways, you have some repetition. In case you don't have reference. Reference is more powerful, obviously, but people don't call reference. They Google you first. They Google you first, right?
100%.
Because I went to like a couple of interviews, so I wanted to quit a couple times, and I've been to so many interviews because originally I couldn't get a job, right? They were asking me algorithm questions, and I kind of got it right, but I couldn't get it right because the parenthesis, the curly bracket was outside, so the result should be 0, but I gave the right answer if the parenthesis was inside and stuff. So they like so many times, like I'm not a really technical guy, so I wanted to create this guy knows something, so I'm creating Brad branding. You should do it too.
Yeah.
If you understand software, or if you want to emphasize and specialize on videography and audio, you should do that instead.
It's about having your brand, having the unique identity where people can, when your name comes up, people can relate to something, your work.
Correct.
It's so important.
Because you don't want people to think like Raghav does audio, video, wedding, music production. That might be one thing, right? But you don't want to be software development, QA, I don't know, restaurant business, all that.
Yeah, that's all.
What are you gonna do?
That's a problem because my online presence, it's not about tech. Like my online presence is all about video.
Media.
That's what you want to do, right? That's what you're going to specialize on, and just
keep pouring the content. Keep pouring the content
until you're going to start making so much money that you don't need the tech job.
Yeah,
that's the goal.
That's, that's the goal at the end of the day.
Because once I start having enough podcast people, and once people believe that I know what I'm talking about, so I can win contract, I may not need my other job.
You don't need the company at that point.
Because you'll work more on your gig than your...
It's more of a stepping stone at that point, like a segue to the next segment.
100%.
Yeah.
So
did I answer your question? Because sometimes I get carried away.
Very nice.
I get carried away. Like
great.
Yeah. The balance. Balance should be there.
Balance should be there. So
I don't believe in balance. Balance for what?
It's like life's like a bicycle. To move forward, you must balance. It comes from there.
Nothing is balanced, but it's your job to hold on to them and try to keep as much as balance as possible, because that's what it is. The life is a roller coaster, man.
It's like this. I see it like this. You're never gonna do one thing in your life. You want to do. You are putting more hours in doing one thing in your life. You'll say that I want to do this. But man, the other day some things happen, and that happen, and you gotta take control of those things too. So in that context, I'm saying balance. To do one thing, like you gotta do balance of other things too.
All the
so that you can focus on doing your thing.
Yeah. You don't want to have 5 different life happens. You want like maybe one and nothing else, right?
Especially if you have a niche you want to follow.
This is this is for next 10 years. This would be your only Shazam.
Exactly.
But at the end of the day, it's the two things that I look at. It's discipline and time management, right? So I have a really hectic life. I have kids. I have a full-time job as a PM. I do videography, I do martial arts, I cut trees. Actually, I gotta go cut your dad's tree. He called me the other day. Cut trees as my side business, landscaping, consulting. I have to go Saroj's sister's house, I gotta go work. And then between all the, I gotta take my daughter to the this and that. So it's extremely difficult some days to manage time and be on top of everything.
But you can manage time, but you don't. There's nothing called balance. He's putting everything in his schedule.
Exactly.
Balance.
So when you say balance, that's what you're referring to.
Yeah, I'm referring to that balance.
Organized.
I'm also referring to that.
Yeah, so
because
in a single day you have to do a lot of things, right?
Yeah, so I call them organized chaos. Organized chaos.
I agree. I think we're all agreeing. What I didn't want to say balance was I want to work like 6-7 hours in a day and forget about work. Yeah. If I need to jump on computer at 8-9 p.m., I'm willing to jump in computer at 9 p.m. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, of course.
Right? Because I think other guy called me at like, slacked me, messaged me like 8-9 p.m. I was like, all right, let's jump on a call. We're like on a call like 11 p.m. at night.
Yeah.
We don't have to.
But
I don't need to balance my life.
But it shows the level of commitment, though. It's the level of commitment.
Because we just want to get shit done.
Yeah.
That guy's
exactly. I want to come to that. Yeah, we want to get our shit done. But the balance we're referring to that because it's like a mental balance.
It's more of an organization than a balance.
Organization. Because balance is a very technical word.
Yeah, so it technically has multiple implications, right? So when you say balance, it could be pitch perfect. Like that's not. It's never gonna be that way.
Multitasking is a lie.
Oh, it's 100% lie. I stopped doing it.
Multitasking is a lie. I read in a book. He said, multitasking is a lie.
You can't get 100% with things. You want to get 100% on something, you can't multitask and achieve that.
Oh, did you hear from the one thing? Yeah, it's a good book. I'm reading Compounding Effect right now.
Oh, Compounding. Soros talks about that.
Yeah, Soros talks
about that. It's a very powerful book.
That.
It's my second time reading it.
Oh, that's awesome.
But cool, man. This is pretty cool. We should do it again.
This is awesome.
Thank you for having me.
Keep doing this. This is great, man. Great times. Love talking about
it. If you wanna follow Mr. Rad,
Brad,
head over to his channel. It's
Raghav Tech Show.
We'll put the links in the video
and follow me on Instagram. Brad Pahari. At Brad Pahari. Everywhere.
Can you spell it?
BradPahari.
Yes.
Or BradPahari.com.
Yeah, BradPahari.com.
Awesome, man. Ciao.
Thanks for having me.
Come on to your